10 of the most incredibly ridiculous moments on The Wendy Williams Show. Who here is a stranger to the ridiculous moments on The Wendy Williams Show? The Ask Wendy segment often witnesses some of the most bizarre stories brought forth by some people. In this video, let's take a look at some such moments. Don't forget to watch the whole thing for some serious eye-rolling. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Let's get it going. 10. Cheap date. So we have a lady here who's complaining that she's dating someone cheap. And why does she think he's cheap? Because he hadn't gifted her anything on her birthday. They'd been dating for about 5 years. She's 40 years old and wants to know if she's too old to be dating a cheap guy.
Okay.
Been dating a guy for about 5 years now, and he's cheap.
This was some background information for you guys. Let us come to the point here, the ridiculous part. So a lady who claims to be in her 40s but looks like in her 50s, dressed up like a cheap, asks, "Do I look like I am cheap?" Wait, it doesn't end there.
Do I look like I'm cheap? I'm almost 40 years old, and do you think I'm too old to be dating a cheap man?
She has a 20-year-old daughter but keeps implying that she looks very young. Well, who is going to bail the cat?
Children together?
No. I have a 20-year-old daughter, and this is what 40 looks like.
Someone must tell her that with all those accessories and the hairdo like that, she does look cheap. But having said all of this, it doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve presents on her birthday. But we gotta admit that just because her boyfriend didn't present something on her birthday, it doesn't mean he's cheap. Up next, the shocking case of the jealous cousin. 9. Jealous cousin. A cousin is a cousin only because they're related by blood, said great Wendy.
Only your cousin because they're related by blood. Doesn't mean that you have to like them.
Well, we can't agree more. If you disagree, lucky you. You've got wonderful cousins then. Here we have a cousin who was crushing on a man her cousin was dating. When her cousin got married to this man, she started bad-mouthing about his wife to him. And you know what she did? To add to the mayhem, once the wedding happened, the cousin started calling the groom and texting him too. She further went on to say that she couldn't believe that she got married to her cousin.
After I walked down the aisle, she started texting him and calling him, saying, "I can't believe you married my cousin."
Now, this is what an evil cousin is, and in whose case, we're only cousins because we're related by blood. It's kind of good to know that the evil cousin was not invited to the wedding. Neither will she be invited for any other occasion or event in the future. Thank heavens.
Was she invited to the wedding?
No, she was not.
Perfect. Renee, you're a smart woman. I think you're doing the right thing. She won't be invited to Christmas either.
Fortunately, the husband turned out to be a genuine guy who was being loyal to his wife. So ladies, beware. As much as you may love your cousins, understand their intentions, and maintain a healthy distance, which is good for both the relationships. Now for some gossip time. Do you think Wendy can ever be biased? 8. Beyonce is over-sexualized. Now, this is the perfect fodder for some gossip. You may not be a fan of her songs, but Beyonce is someone you would definitely recognize. And if you know Beyonce, you will also know that she has a successful career and a loving family. Being a part of a glamour industry, she is considered one of the hottest females who can set cold water on fire. We're sure we're all on the same page here, but our Wendy darling is not. She thinks that Beyonce is over-sexualized. Wendy, sometimes you make so much sense, and it's not difficult to agree with you, but not every time, honey. While we do respect her opinion, to each their own, something as ridiculous as this can be said out loud only by someone as daring as our Wendy darling. Now, what do you do when someone you thought was your friend starts demanding money they've spent on you? 7. Demanding friend. Often in life, we have relationships that are demanding. They could be emotionally demanding, mentally demanding, or intellectually demanding. Here is an example of a relationship that is demanding because it did not take off. We have our friend, whose female friend has been taking him out to concerts, dinners, and whatnot. But once he made it clear that he was not into anything, she sends across an excellent sheet that contained all the expenses that were paid by her. You won't believe it, but she demanded back all of the money she had spent on him.
You saying with the breakdown of everything she's ever paid for from me, saying I owe her this money.
How much?
It's a few $100s.
Absolutely ridiculous. We're glad the guy didn't accept her proposal. He just escaped from the extremely cheap woman. Let's wish them both good luck and pray that the guy finds a girl he deserves. While we're at it, let's hope the girl finds someone too who will respect her despite the attitude. And now answer this. What would you do if your boyfriend had a female best friend? 6. Female best friend. Let us all agree unanimously on this. We wouldn't want to share the attention of our significant other with anyone else, especially not with another person. We all know at least one such girlfriend who got possessive because her boyfriend's attention was divided between her and his family. If this is the problem with family, imagine if your boyfriend has a female best friend and spends a lot of time with her on the phone. Anybody at this point would get annoyed. No surprise that they start doubting them too. And in this case, why not? To top it all off, when she objects to it, he takes the phone to the other room. Agreed.
He has a best friend who's a female, and he's always on the phone to her at all hours of the day and night.
They've been friends for over 10 years, and the girl and her boyfriend have been together for a lesser time, but that doesn't give the friend the rights to hold him over the phone for hours together. Normally, she must have realized it herself, but since she hasn't, I wish the girlfriend gives the best friend a good piece of her mind and asks her not to trouble the boyfriend and not to interfere so much in their life. Now, what would you do if your child spent all day sitting on the couch and watching his phone? 5. Not 1975 anymore, honey. Here's a gem straight from the horse's mouth. Okay, from the host's mouth. Here's a mother, not different from yours or mine, who wants to get her 14-year-old son away from his phone and get him off the sofa.
I want to get him off the couch, off the phone, and getting busy, getting active. What should I do?
On being questioned how she spent her time when she was 14, she says she was busy, playing in the backyard. At this, Wendy replies that it was back earlier when you could catch fireflies until the sun went down because there were no killers or pedophiles out there to haunt young children. But that's not the case now. The moment as such is not ridiculous, but the fact that the world has become one where young children fear to play is absolutely ridiculous and to be loathed upon. Who is to be blamed? None of us, and yet every one of us. The only logical option seems to be what the host has suggested, to get her son startled with some volunteer program. This seems to be safe, and at the same time, he isn't spending time on the couch doing nothing. Up next, what happens when you get invited to a friend's wedding and to your shock, you find out your current boyfriend is the groom? 4. Boyfriend's wedding and you're not the bride. This should be featured in the world's most ridiculous moment. How would you feel if you randomly show up at a wedding and guess who the groom is? Your very own boyfriend of 2 years. Clearly a shock. The host, Wendy herself, is not able to come out of this shock, but it doesn't end there. The girl says that ever since the boyfriend spotted her at the wedding, he keeps trying to talk to her and keeps calling her. Maybe he's just trying to explain himself by giving her some excuse. We are curious to know what excuses he could possibly come up with for having cheated on his girlfriend of over 2 years. But setting aside our curiosity, we agree with her decision of not entertaining him. But we wouldn't mind giving it back to him at least once to make him realize that what he has done was unacceptable, and for even having dared to call her despite his actions. What do you think? Now, would you go out with a guy who had no manners? 3. Excuse me, but you're mannerless. Being invited over for dinner just after 2 dates is wonderful. You can safely assume he's into you, at least so far. Imagine yourself in this lady's shoes. You've been invited over for dinner. Chances are that you would be all over the place. It isn't wrong if you have your expectations high. You get all dressed up and arrive at his place only to find out that he has already started eating without you. Let us be honest with you, our initial reaction was to laugh. And it's not just the eating without you that's the problem. You find that his house is a mess too. This poor girl. Do you need any more reasons to cut ties with him? If this is what's happening after 2 dates, we don't want to imagine any further. We just hope you get a guy who thinks you're worth the wait. Most importantly, we hope he will clean his habitat when you render him a visit, not to impress you, but just because that's how it should be. Now answer this. Would you introduce your boyfriend of only 2 months to your parents? 2. Meeting the parents. You must be thinking, what is exactly so ridiculous about meeting the parents? Well, let us explain the situation to you. So this young lady has been dating this guy for just about 2 months. This has got her parents curious, and they've been asking her to introduce the boyfriend to them. Being asked to introduce your boyfriend of fewer than 2 months is kind of ridiculous, don't you think? What further makes this interesting is that the parents demand that she should stop dating him if they aren't happy with him. Thankfully, she confidently replies no. Now, we wish the parents understand and keep themselves out of this to let their grown-up daughter decide things for herself. We aren't against the involvement of parents in the lives of their children, but when the children seem so determined and sure about their life, it's better to leave them on their own to fend for themselves. Once they have their wings and they've had their first flight, there's no use trying to show them how to fly. And now for the top of the list, the most ridiculous moment on The Wendy Williams Show.
I saved the best for last, but first I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. So if you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it. It really works.
1. When you crush on your kid's teacher. So this mother has been crushing hard on a teacher who works at her son's school. Shockingly, this has been happening for 2 whole years. Now, the woman is torn between her motherly love and her love for the teacher. She is confused about making a move or waiting until the son graduates to avoid anything awkward. The most confusing thing is when the mother says that the dad of the son is around. Now, as per Wendy's advice, she should wait a bit until her son moves out from his school.
Till the end of 8th grade.
Okay.
So your son goes off to high school.
Okay.
And then double back around.
But she clearly states that it's going to be very awkward for her son, and we can't agree more. Imagine waking up to a guy at home in the morning that was your teacher at school and is seeing your mother. Pretty awkward, right? Oh, and did I mention that he takes her son to the movies? We don't know if these are strictly professional or if he's trying to impress the son. Pretty much a tie between awkward and ridiculous. So what do you think of this list? Do let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thanks for watching, and have an excellent day.